Hey y'all, Bearder Bros Golf Show, back at it again. I'm Rod.
Marcus.
Pardon our tardiness. It was on me. Usually, like 99.999%, it's Marcus while we're running late, but today it's on me. So pardon my failure. I just got to make that very, very clear.
Chad,
Um,
I'll be here.
it's on me. Whatever.
See, look,
Oh,
he's not even set up. I'm over here. I got my green screen ready. I'm mic'd up. I'm in the chat. What he doing? Come on.
whatever. Fugamabooing around. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. This might be a very, very long show, but we're going to try to muscle through it. We'll take care of stuff that carried over from last week, which unfortunately, um, was caused by Matt Kuchar. We couldn't officially name Aaron Ryan,
Lord.
even though it was a done deal that he had won the Wyndham Championship last week. But Matt Kuchar decided that it was a great idea to stop playing in the fairway after hitting into the group in front of him, while the other two people in his threesome did finish the hole. I guess he came back with the opportunity to possibly move up a couple of spots, maybe earning himself $100,000 more. Guess what? He stayed in the same exact spot, had staffers come back just for him to complete half a hole. Not even a complete hole, half a hole. And then on top of it, asked for relief from a scoreboard that, based on the pictures, didn't exist. So, bro, Matt Kuchar is the worst. I don't know. I thought Zach Johnson had kind of peaked as PGA Jerk of the Year and just his outbursts at the crowd, but Matt Kuchar, his record of being a jerk is really stacking up. Goes back to the
The
day of
yeah, the resume. Look, we got a list now. We got a
it's
list
it's
now.
it's growing. I mean, I
Mm.
think people have been throwing jabs. You sent me the Rory, little snippet talking about, we know Matt cares about his money, and clearly had him and Brooks Koepka cracking up.
Oh
And
yeah.
then we had the caddy situation years back where won an event, had a caddy from in town, paid him like, what was it, $5,000 on a
Yeah. On
million
a
five
win.
purse? Yeah, yeah, bro. So he's a horrible person. In addition to this most recent, it's just no way that he could justify it. What do you think about Matt Kuchar being scum of the earth?
Yeah, just selfish. POS. I mean, he not beating the allegations this time, bro. Like you just trash. Like there's no need for that. So what if you bogey it because you had a bad lie, you shot it full on left? Not our problem. Just finish up like the rest of us and let the tour buses, the officials, the reporters, the the golf course return back to normal as soon as possible. No,
Right.
no, no. We got a whole nother day just for this guy to come back at the crack of ass. So everybody has to wake up. Even Jim
But I
Nance
get
was
it.
throwing that. Even Jim Nance was throwing a jab. He was like, "Yeah, I think that wraps up our coverage today. I don't think we'll be coming back in the morning for that, Matt.
It's
Like for
horrible,
real,
bro.
bro. Come on, man. Come on,
Yeah,
man. For
Jim Nance gets a little sassy every once in a while.
love it. He's old
In
now.
the
He's
He
earned that
is.
right.
He's lost the patience. So I mean, I get it. It's a country club, but even at the end of the day, like the day after pro tournaments are in town, just because the prep for a pro tournament is very extensive, and people generally like the course really reaches a peak state when the PGA Tour comes into town.
Yeah.
So even here in DFW, we have a Corn Ferry event that comes through Texas Rangers. Big event the day after to get, people playing on the course, playing from where the pros played. I, did that this previous year, or this year, I should say. So that's a big thing, right? So your people that are members at the course don't get to go out. They probably have to tear down everything, as
Yeah.
much as they can, I'm sure the night before. But still, there's stuff that has to be completed upon him returning to the course that following morning. So bad on
Right.
Matt Kuchar, man. Again, has turned into, he's competing for the top spot. Who else outside of Zach Johnson? Who else do we think is kind of in that echelon of just PGA Tour jerks that are still out there competing?
Uh, I don't know. I guess this is personal, but I don't think Webb Simpson is as nice as he makes it out to be either.
I agree with that. I
Billy
agree with that.
Horschel, both of them guys.
Yeah, there's
Which is saying a
something.
lot because Billy Horschel really has taken a liking to FAMU and throw them some bread and stuff like that,
Yeah,
which is still great.
and
But
the APGA tour. Yeah,
right, but listen,
you feel it.
every
You
now and
feel like
again,
there's something under.
every now and again, my man still talks about his views on life, and I don't know if they really align with the people that are secular. So
No, and
gonna
I
leave
don't think
him
they
to
agree.
his gonna leave him to
I don't.
himself with that.
I don't think his views align with the people that he's supporting in public either. To be honest with you, there's some
Thank
conflicts
you.
there. So check this out. Also, this is the interesting thing. His wife seems like she's overcome her problem. So kudos to her. She had a problem with alcoholism that was revealed
Right.
a handful of years ago. Hot Mike caught him walking over. I think it was from the 17th to 18th on the Wyndham last week, talking about going and getting some drinks or something. It was reference to drinking alcohol, and I just found that very interesting. And I get it. Like when you're talking with your boys, the conversation is very different. But given that he was an outspoken advocate for his wife at the time when she was going through her issues, I think it was a DUI, if I'm not mistaken. But it was just an interesting kind of offhand reference caught on the hot mic that I was like, oh, that's kind of cringy. So I think there might be something to that as well. And you know who
Mhm.
else that I kind of also have a personal thing with, and I can't figure out how to put my hand on it. It's from the Champions Tour, Stephen Ames. Like I want to punch that man in the face. I don't know what it is, but the man has a
Oh
punchable face.
man.
And maybe it was like back in the day when he was still on the PJ Tour and kind of on his way out, and Tiger was on his way in, just kind of kicking
Yeah.
ass. And he would make some snide remarks, but something about Stephen Ames always just gets at me. So
No, I
anyway,
agree. I agree, but Tiger said it best. I think he understands now.
right, right. So what's crazy after you say that? Today's show has a lot of references and things that we have talked about. So it's very cool that we're at this point where we have a lot of content built up and that I'm able to kind of pull back to, especially
Yeah.
for our lead story, which is the John Rahm thing. Just kind of going through the history of that, I was able to pull up clips and some screenshots of things that we've gone over the last 2 years that are referenced back to that as well as just past episodes. So let's hit it. So, also from last week, we're going to get into Aaron Rye's What's in the Bag again because of the weird finish last week. It wasn't solidified. It wasn't solidified. And so we'll go through his What's in the Bag. Hey, Bobby, he said, here's my personal thing, Gary Player. Dude seems too touchy feely, creeper
Bobby,
status, but that's just the vibes I get.
you might be on to something. Plus he old and he's short. You know he done said some stuff before. 1000%.
I can agree with that. And I think, him kudos to him for being the age that he is and keeping himself in shape. But there's something about guys
It's
that
at a creep
you
level though. Why
it
why do
is
you
at
need
a
to be
creep
that in
level.
shape? You are 88 or 86 or whatever, mid 80s and up. Brother, you do not need to be doing 100 push-ups a day, brother. Calm down.
I know. What is that clip that's going viral? The dude, brother, no, brother, no.
Ew, what is this? Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, love
All
him.
right. Yeah. Yeah. All that. Standing on his abs. Yeah, like you said, it's just like forcing too much physical touch.
Yeah,
Boundaries. It's 2024. Let's keep that bubble of safety
yeah,
around each other. All right,
please.
Aaron Rise, what's in the bag? Spoke about it last week, and I don't want to get on a bashing thing about him because he seems like an incredibly nice dude
Very nice guy.
and very nice guy. Plays very slow as well. You could tell that he was letting, even though he may have honors on certain holes that he would let the other players in the group go ahead and hit. Respectable. We talked about slow play. If you're gonna play
Yeah,
slow, respect the other people in your group as much as possible. We saw that last week with him. So I just want to get some of my personal qualms out of the way and just yeah, nice guy, but plays very slow. And we'll also get into something about his bag that we talked about months and months ago, and that video continues to get some watches. So we'll get there when we get there. So we were talking about this kind of before jumping on. Still rocking the TaylorMade M6 at 9 degrees. The M6 was the standard, very forgiving version. No adjustability at all. You get what you get. He's rocking the Aldila Synergy Blue Tour X shaft, which is not a popular shaft at all. You don't see a lot of pros rocking Aldila at this point. It's just
right.
not a super elite shaft, but I think we see that a lot with Aaron Rye and his just unorthodox game. That he's not some super dynamic athlete. He is a kind of middle of the road, fair, gets the job done, but he's not blasting it by anybody in the
Yeah,
fairway at all. He's not a
yeah.
long ball hitter. We'll see that also with some of his loft selections further as we get down the bag as well. Any comments here on the M6? I know you hate that he's not up to grade at the driver.
I, I mean, it's fine. It's just why the M6 when the M4 was a better driver? If we're gonna say old school, then you might as well have just used the M1. And if you didn't want to adjust it, use the M2. Like, if you're gonna be
The
old and weird, be old and weird. The M6 was
M
like
M
just
M2 was goaded, man. M2 was
I
actually
know.
goaded.
It was a really good try. I mean, it was to me, it was just an innovator, just like the covert stuff like that. Nobody was really doing stuff like that back then, and that's why you got to hand it to TaylorMade. That was when they really started. I mean, they wasn't really starting pumping out drivers because they were doing that before when they started
Right.
doing like the R1 and all that kind of stuff like that. But yeah, man, I, look, it works, but just like we was talking about, just it's an
I think
interesting
that
choice.
yeah, I think he's given up yardage off the tee. Like I get
Gotta
it.
be.
Some of the claims from TaylorMade were not, clearly it was marketing at that point, gaining 15 yards with your new driver. But I truly
Yeah.
think if we're talking about 2018, 19, there's definitely some gains that have been made in the driver game, particularly also when you could combine that with a shaft that's optimized for you and
Yeah,
great. He probably feels like he can put that in the fairway with his eyes closed, but you still think about okay, 10 to 15 yards of gains makes a huge difference when you're talking about going into greens with lower lofted clubs. Um, I don't know. I mean, or higher lofted clubs, excuse me. But I
yeah.
just think that there's definitely things that he's leaving, on the table there.
Or even dispersion wise, because every driver nowadays has gotten pretty much some form of 10K forgiveness, like what Ping is doing. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So even dispersion and forgiveness wise, even if the yardage is still the same, you could
yeah.
tighten it up that way. That would help you out a lot more.
And it's clear he's not a tailor-made staffer. He's got a wild card
Right.
bag, so he could have the flexibility to move around.
Yeah.
So then getting
He's on
into
Tyler's
his
page.
right, then you know why? Because he's using the ball.
Pro V.
Titleist uses any opportunity to tout their connection to somebody, right?
Very true.
Um, TaylorMade QI10 at 15 degrees. He's rocking the 3 wood and the 5 wood at 18 degrees. Tradition, this is the kind of standard bag this year or standard shaft, the Fujikara Ventus Blue 8X.
Yeah.
Again, not super, athletic or just not a lot of speed that he's generating. Better than average golfer, but lower than your average tour player. With a lot of those guys rocking the black
Yeah.
in the Fujikara Ventus. So he's rocking the blue, traditional, 5 wood and 3 wood shaft. So no surprises here. Any comment here before we move on?
No, it's fine.
Yeah, pretty standard stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Again, Titleist in the bag. The 24-degree hybrid. That's like you said. I don't know, man. That's a very high lofted four hybrid, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Very.
It's pushing it. I do like the Tensei CK Pro White X. That is a super low spin version of that shaft and kind of typical hybrid, loft and not loft, but excuse me, weight with the 90 Tour X. But what do you think about
Yeah.
this hybrid?
I mean, the only thing that I really have to say is I just feel like, again, like I was telling you, just feels like he's one of us because even if he was using a hybrid, cool. I thought it would have been like a 20 or a 21 degree, something similar to what you would play as like a 3 iron slash strong lofted 4 iron, going to greens easy with this. Just this seems like a part of the bag. This just seems like I want to hit a 4 iron and I want to hit it 220 or 215. That's
Right.
one of us. That's a top amateur play. You know what I'm saying? Like me
Right.
and you could get that out of a 4 iron easily. You know what I'm saying? That's all I
Did
have
it
to say about it.
did
But
it
it is
did
what it is.
did it did it today. But hey,
You know,
if you need forgiveness, you need forgiveness. I'm not gonna hate on it, but I think as we go through it, it just continues to exemplify that the man is not, he's getting the most out of his physical talent.
he
Let's
works
just say that.
hard. He is a
Yes.
grinder.
That's what they say. They say it's more than the he's on the range more than your average golfer. He's got that
Mm.
VJ Singh work ethic. Interesting pick here on the irons. TaylorMade P7TWs. This is definitely a player's iron. It's a smaller player's, blade. They have
Mm-hmm.
blades that have more surface area. So he's playing out of the center of that bad boy. Interesting shaft choice, just because it's a little bit heavier. The True Temper Dynamic Gold S300. You got to be working to hit this shaft. It's a beat down.
It
Working with
does
this
you no
shaft. We
favors.
at all, at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna come out low. You really have to work with it to like get it up in the air pretty much. If he's playing those P7 if he's playing those P7 TWs, then they're probably a little bit higher lofted as it is. His 9 iron is probably like 43 or something like that. So it probably doesn't take that much to get it in
I'm
the air, paired with
I'm
the
gonna
golf ball.
I'm gonna counter you. So I'm gonna go to the next slide. So hold that thought that you just said about his 9 iron being at 43 degrees. So pause
Ugh,
first.
not him again.
So
Stop showing the
so
damn iron covers.
so, so
Terrible.
back in the day, we made a video when this was kind of when Aaron Rye was up on the PJ Tour, making some, getting close to top tens about his iron covers and the story of him and his dad purchasing clubs for him that they really couldn't afford at the time and cleaning them with oil and a pin and just really wanting to protect that investment. So he's clearly able to get newer stuff at this point of his career, but has still held on to the iron cover. So a commendable story, but F those iron covers. We
Truly.
we just raw dog it. I get it. There's people that hate the clanging. I don't even hear that. It, it
I'm
doesn't
not paying
bother
that much
me.
of attention. Yeah.
Literally, I'm not. There's things that I'm neurotic about. Clubs moving around in my bag are not one of them. I don't
Yeah.
know. It makes me feel. It just kind of sets the mood for me. Like when I'm walking out to the range with my bag on my back, and I hear those irons clapping each other, it just kind of gets me in the mood to go, hit some balls. That's just me, but I get
Oh
it.
yeah.
It's based on how he was raised, but f those iron covers. So here's where the wedge lofts come into play and kind of are very weird. So he's playing the Titleist Vokey design SM9s last year's version or two versions back, excuse me, last cycle. So the 44-degree pitching wedge, man. That's why I said that 9 has got to be lofted down at least 3 degrees, right? He's got to
Yeah,
be playing
41.
like a 41, 40 degree 9 iron because that's not like that's an unusual loft for a pitching wedge.
I mean, he probably still
What's
hits
up
it
with
about
that?
135. I don't know. I don't,
It's
I
just
don't know.
weird.
Very.
It's, I mean, most people, I mean, we've been seeing 46, 47 out of a pitching wedge. This one's unique as all get out, man. I don't know. I just found that
Yeah.
very interesting. 49-degree gap wedge, the 55-degree sand wedge, and nowhere. And I had to put the picture up to make sure, show the people I wasn't crazy. I don't know what the loft is on his wedge. It literally just says lob, and you can see his other wedges are stamped with the degree that they are. This one just has the stamp that says lob. So this could be anywhere between 57, 50 to 60, right?
It's probably a 60 degree or something like that. If he's not hitting full
I
shots with it, it's a 60.
I know, but then I looked at the grind on it, and I'm like, I don't know how flat that thing could lay. It's deceptive. You don't get a really good look at it, but it was very interesting that it wasn't listed, and that it's also not stamped like his other ones. I'm curious if I can go look and find some interesting facts about it or whatnot, but just an interesting little tidbit there. And also on the shafts, rocking the same shafts that he has in his irons as well. So that's a unique touch that we don't see week in and week out.
Yeah.
But consistency through the bag, right? I guess he's looking for feel more than anything. Um, Putter, TaylorMade Hydroblast, TP DuPage. This is an interest, like you don't really see this one out there. Again, we're seeing a lot of the help. TaylorMade's really coming with the putters with help in them. You see some heavier weights here on the front. Here it's at 225 grams. It is. So, likes a little bit heavier face. And I also did the little zoom in on the grip and that face contact. So the man is striking that out of the center every time. Solid putter, getting the grind out of it. What's up with people not changing their putter grips ever? I don't think I've ever seen a new Super Stroke grip in my life. These things are always looking battered and beat up. When was the last time you changed your? Well, you've changed putters frequently. So, what's the?
No, I don't.
Okay, fine, fine. Okay, but you have a new putter for this year, right?
Yeah, the Scotty.
You got
I've
it.
had that
You
same Super Stroke grip since its origin, since I got it.
okay?
Um,
You got a new putter last year, right? Not a new one, but
yeah, I mean Christmas into December, going into January. So it's
so like I said, you change putters often.
before that, I had that putter for 3 or 4 years. That's not often. Anyways,
All right.
so like I typically change. I don't. I'm very like OCD about the grip, so I feel like I kind of change my grips too often sometimes, especially like if it's like a white or cream colored grip where my hands are not necessarily always clean, or I've been hitting my wedges
Yeah.
or something like that. So yeah, if I'm not wiping them down and keeping it clean, then yeah, I'll get a different one and keep it. I'm on the opposite side of it. I definitely do get
Okay.
new grips on my putter.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know if Super Stroke just builds these really kind of grips that easily break down, and maybe that's for feel purposes. But like I said, I've never seen a clean or new Super Stroke grip, especially on the
Yeah,
pro side of things.
yeah. If you look at Jordan Spieth, he probably has like a 5-year-old putting grip or something like that. His is
Right.
warm.
Even though he's been shifting putters quite a bit here lately. And like we mentioned earlier, he's rocking the Titleist Pro V1. No surprises there.
You know.
In where I can, I've been trying to put in details about the shoe wear that pros wear because typically they stick something pretty consistent. Aaron Rai is all over the board. All of his shoes are these nondescript, non-branded, kind of orthopedic looking golf shoes. Last week at the Wyndham, the final day, he was rocking some white shoes that looked like they had been through the paces, and like the kind of the plastic part had done the oxidation, so it was super yellow.
Mm,
I still didn't know what shoe it was, and then I tried to find several images online of shoe wear and any close-ups. Again, non-branded, nondescript, something that I just typically don't see. I don't know if it's some Echo shoe that's not mainstream or something. But when we can, we put shoewear in these, but couldn't find
I guess
anything
when you
valid on him.
I guess when you don't have a brand deal, I mean, you just whatever you want to do.
You do what you want. Yep. So that's Aaron Rise. What's in the bag? And we'll probably get that one up here pretty soon. Clip that for tomorrow. One little story before we move on. A couple other little stories before we move on. Amanda Balionis announced this week that she was departing the world of golf. I think at the end of this season to move over to the football side of things. So I think she did like a post, and I think the reason it caught people's attention is that there was one part of the post that featured Rory McIlroy, as we talked about earlier in the year, as Rory was going through it with his wife, and they were, possibly heading towards divorce. A lot of sightings of Rory and Amanda stealing moments together, rumors that, they'd been canoodling out there. So it's just very interesting, kind of restart that up. But what do you think about Amanda? I mean, it's bigger and better waters. We know football rules the U.S. market,
Yeah,
at least. So what do you think about her moving over and getting out of golf?
a good move for her. I mean, I feel like she's gonna do what's best for her and her career. I mean, everybody has a start and everybody has an end goal. So whether that be her moving into the broadcast booth or just working the sidelines on the NFL scene, I think it's good for her.
Yeah,
Probably if this Rory marriage thing doesn't work out, she at least is on the other side of golf so that there's no like buddy buddy thing going on in the interview room and stuff like that. She's completely detached from that scene. So it'll be a little bit more clean cut and it'll be more, okay, all right, that makes sense. Yeah, so I'm okay
yeah,
with that. I'm all right with her making some more
yeah.
bread.
It it definitely felt messy when their rumors
Yeah.
popped up, and
As
they're
long as
having to
Dottie
kind
Pepper
of
doesn't take
technically
over.
work together. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who takes over the interview gigs. Seemed like,
Yeah,
Amanda had a really good rapport with players, and, was able to kind of get something extra. I mean,
yeah,
selfishly, I mean, when watching football, a lot of these sideline reporters really struggle with the kind of in person stuff. So,
right.
fresh face and just someone that, hopefully can get some of these players to provide better answers, because that sideline questioning and reporting gets quite stale, right? I don't It's starting to get to the
Agreed.
point where it doesn't really add much to the broadcast. So a little bit of fresh blood, different
Yeah.
perspective, that's always helpful, right? When you're not used to this and you have a new energy about you. So good
Yeah,
luck to her.
maybe Kira K. Dixon. Whoever, and it's gonna be like a CBS exclusive deal. So they're gonna have to break their conversation with Golf Channel and NBC Sports to go over to CBS and still be able to do these reports and everything like that. So maybe that's her next move, and that's her way up for her. But you never know. They might have somebody else in mind.
Yeah. Um, Bobby says Dottie reminds me of the therapist and took her to the O. I'm not familiar with that, but I'm gonna have to look that up. I believe anything. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
Dottie's
Bobby.
interesting.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to look that up. But I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with your game.
Um, DP World Tour. Even though the tournament I did not watch, and the winner I ended up looking up the results. Not really familiar with him, but I think the
Yeah,
story from the
some
DP
random.
World Tour this week was Andrew Beef Johnston. This year has started to make a comeback. He's really struggled with injuries for the last few years. I want to say 2019-20, the man was on a really hot streak and
Yeah,
had captured, a lot of our attention. Just a good story. Seemed like a really just down home kid. Got sponsored by Arby's. Was like, this
right.
kid's gonna really, take over. Then he just started struggling with some mental health as well as physical issues.
Yeah,
So, anytime I see that kid, I call him a kid, he's 35, get a little bit of shine. Just seems like I'm all about genuine people who display their full self and seem to be enjoying what they're doing. And you could just see that when they were interviewing him after he shot that, course record 63 this week. how much he was enjoying being back on the course, shooting, low scores again. He ended up finishing tied for 23rd, which is not, it's great. It's fine, right? It's fine.
Yeah,
But
it's
again,
a
just to
check
see
though.
him, yeah, just to see him out there playing good golf again, I think he's a really good story. We always are looking for good stories, and again, the DP World Tour needs people that are appealing and able to sell that product as well. We've really seen them struggle as really, to be honest, they've been feeding the PGA Tour the last handful of years as guys get good over there and then migrate themselves over to the PGA Tour or, maybe get picked off by LIV here and there as well. So what do you think about Beef making his return?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the counterpart to our original conversation with like Cooch and Player and them, I feel like he's a genuine guy. I feel like he's a guy that you could get behind. He's a one of us in the other way. He's a one of us because like he says, I mean, when he was in his prime and when he was really not injured and stuff like that, you would talk to him or he would get the interviews and he would be saying stuff like, "Yeah, man, I'm going to the pub after the round, just hang
Right.
out, loosen up and stuff like that. Then I'll be right back at it tomorrow." Like, I mean, that's the type of guy. He's not gonna go out there and go crazy, but he gonna have him a beer or two, and then he gonna be right back
Yeah.
next morning, and he's gonna grind and he's gonna have a good time. It's not like he's out there. I feel like he fully understands the blessing that he has right now to be able to play golf and at a high level and it'd be relatively easy for him. You know what I'm saying? It's not effortless. We
Yeah.
don't always know the true work that these guys do in their off season and in the off weeks and stuff like that. But relatively speaking, it looks pretty natural from my man's Beef. So good on him, and hopefully
Yeah.
he can stay mentally clear, have the fan behind him, and be clear of those injuries and keep that going. I mean, worst case scenario, feed him into the PGA too. I don't care. Really.
Now there's a couple guys that I have my eye on the DP World Tour that I think will be coming over pretty soon. There's a
Yeah.
lefty. He's been playing really good golf. Sam Bairstow has really had some high finishes on the DP World Tour. Just looks like he's got it. He's got
Hmm.
something the next gear to go get it. So I think if he gets a couple of wins over on the DP World Tour, we're going to see him migrate over. I was super disappointed when Adrian Moronk went over
I
to
was about to
live
say it
because
could have
he's
been Adrian Wrong.
yeah
I
he could have
literally
been the
was about to
next
say
one.
that.
But it is what it is, right? He's been quiet ever since he left, which I think honestly that kind of precludes into our story about Jon Rahm is that it's just a place where players go to die and their games go to die, and it's just sad seeing the performance from Adrian Moronk in the majors this year, where he missed three out of the four cuts.
Yeah.
The dude was on a cooker at the end of last year, missed the Ryder Cup, and then decided he was going to go somewhere else, and that just sucks. So
Was saying
anyhow,
all the right thing, like he was
let's
inspired and stuff to keep working just to do that.
yeah.
Now you're not on the Ryder Cup for next year or these years coming, and it doesn't seem like you're gonna have a really good time on live either. So, boy, that boy done went spiraling.
Yeah, especially with them, doing this relegation thing where people from the bottom half of the league, or bottom, not even half, the last kind of five or six players, um, can, be moved back to the Asian tour.
Yeah,
Alex Fitzpatrick also did pretty well. Bern Wiesberger has been doing pretty well since he returned, left live and returned to the DP World Tour. Like I said, there's a few guys that are over there doing their thing and that we may see migrate over. And you know who's still
yeah.
raking over on the DP World Tour? My man, Ross Fisher. That man
Ross
is like
Fisher,
timeless.
Nike athlete, salt and pepper hair. Oh yeah, my man's still rocking.
Guaranteed to give you a top 20. I swear to
They
God,
got to be
every
paying
week.
him under the table.
Ross Fisher, blast from the
Just,
past.
just stick with
Um,
us, mate.
the Women's Scottish Open as a prelude to the Open Championship for the ladies next week. So that's exciting. looking forward to that. We talked about this the last few weeks, is that they've duplicated what the men have done, get that prep weekend. I was very disappointed to see Nelly Corda did not participate this week, but an interesting top five that, folks that have been trending upwards, and it just kind of hopefully, lends to good things for these ladies. But Lauren, I always screw her name up. Coughlin. I'm just gonna call her
Coughlin.
Coughlin. I think it's Coughlin. Coughlin won
Yeah.
it. She's been chomping at the bit. Had a chance at the Evian not too long ago to win it. Ended up not closing the deal. I think came over stateside, won a tournament, and then won the Open. So shout out to her for finding something in her
Yeah.
swing, in her game, that is really pushing her forward. I'm just going to run through this list really quick. Esther Henslet, who finished silver in the
Silver.
Olympics,
Hmm.
second here in the Scottish Open. So her game is clearly trending in the right
On a
direction,
roll.
gaining some gaining some confidence. Ayaka Fury, who has literally been in top tens all year.
Yeah.
If she's
Team
not
Bridgestone.
competing, yeah, Megan Kang actually was leading quite. I think she led through two
For a while.
rounds. Through, yeah, just wasn't able to hold on. Didn't have the greatest finishing day to day. And your girl, chain smoking Charlie Hull, came in fifth.
Haha.
7 strokes back, which that's the one thing that's kind of getting weird about the kind of women's game, is these big separations. So from first, which is 15 under, to fifth place was 8 under. So 7 strokes separating first to fifth. Always interesting when there's those huge gaps. But I've
Yeah.
been seeing that a lot on tour this year. So interesting top five, which you see ladies trending in the right direction. Again, as I mentioned off top, disappointed that Nelly Corda did not make the trip over and play in this event. Hopefully we can. Hopefully she's at home or somewhere across the world tuning it up, getting her game ready to go for the Open Championship next week. Any early picks on your side?
Uh, no, I mean, I like Charlie. I like Lydia. I don't know. The game of LPGA is like, I don't know. I feel like it really should be the best thing to gamble on if you're really a better. You just never know. The odds are always crazy.
Yeah.
Um, you just never know. I don't know.
I,
This week was pretty crazy. Go ahead.
I was saying, I think I've been hearing a lot of people pumping up Charlie Hull, that she's been putting in a lot of work on the back end of things. I mean, she's super
Yeah,
young, right? But that she's out there beating balls and putting in a lot of work on the background, which is cool to see her actually get some results out of it. And, not that she's from England, but I'm sure she's played a lot more links golf than a lot of these other ladies that are going to be competing next week. So I
yeah,
favor her chances. I really do.
yeah.
So we'll see how that works out for her.
Sad about Nelly, but not really. Like Nelly is I think Nelly knows how important she is to the women's game right now, but also feels like she still can just take weeks off, not knowing that she is really the face of the LPGA, and
Yeah,
she should be playing in a lot of these TV televised events, especially live on NBC this week. On NBC live this week, not here. I think
I
that's kind of
know.
disappointing, but
Yeah,
you know, she
and
might be trying to.
for golf, that's a prime time, because you think about like when golfers might be watching early morning and they're
Yeah,
playing overseas. Yeah, to
right.
me, I agree. That's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I think you know, I get it. You're trying to keep yourself in that echelon of like a tiger. You're very targeted. You're very aimed at what events you want to play. But you're 26. You're 27. Famo, go out there and play 30 events. Clearly, you're trying to beat the allegations of being booed up. The more you play, the more you ain't got no boo. The more you take off, the more
I
you at
know.
the cribbo. You over in Florida, with the booski. Y'all out on the beach. Come on,
Go play some golf.
go
Yeah,
play.
you get one shot at this thing, and clearly she's still trying to find her game and return to the form that we saw earlier in the year. She was
Easier
really
to
on a
do it when you
bender.
play more.
Well, you know that reps cause you to play better. There's not a player out in the world that plays better by playing less. It's just you
Right.
need,
Stay in
for
the moment.
feel, for touch, to find your swing. So anyway, um, we'll hit the PGA stuff at the end here. Let's get into the cover story for today. And we saw the story come out earlier in the week, and I didn't see any refuting on the Jon Rahm side of things. So I have this kind of slideshow and video queued
Is he
up.
even allowed
Eh,
to talk?
Probably not. Probably not.
See,
That's why we're leaking information out here and talking to confidential sources and whatnot. So we'll start with this week's story that kind of led it off, and then I'll pause it and we'll talk about that and keep it moving to some of this kind of past comments. How this was very predictable. I'm going to go through comments that he made in the past and how very predictable the moment that we're in now is. So we get this, we get this quote from Nuclear Golf. You know, Jaime Diaz is a very respectable golf journalist, been in the game for a long time, has a lot of connections. So here we see he's expressing deep regret over his move to LIV. This is a quote. They put this in quotes, and I hate with Nuclear Golf. Sometimes they do some stuff, but I'm gonna take this at that this is a Jaime Diaz quote. I'm 100% positive that if John could give the money back to the Saudis and come back to the tour, he couldn't write the check fast enough. Now there are only 4 times a year when he's playing that anybody is remotely interested. He thought his stature in the game was secure no matter where he was playing, and it was a bad miscalculation. I caught the tail end of the Live Golf Greenbrier today. He went into a playoff with Brooks Koepka, and the lack of, I don't know, fan excitement. Those are their two top guys, or two of their top guys in a playoff playing that par three, which I hate as a playoff. Um,
yeah,
Rahm ended up throwing it in the back bunker, not able to get up and down. Brooks got up, for a par to win in a one-hole playoff. Again, outside of the concept of having a playoff on a par three sucks, but again, the energy was just outside of Team Smash coming and spraying Brooks Koepka. Um, it was pretty emotionless. It was kind of whack, to be honest. So I
yeah.
think it's very clear that the eyes are not on CW. They're not on Live. We've talked about this. I watched live on Saturday. Probably buffering. Yeah. I was on the YouTube feed on Saturday, and there were like 8,000 people. I've steadily, as I've joined and watched throughout the year, seeing the traction for Live Golf really fade. And for that to be a stateside event and see that low of a number, pretty poor. Yes, they were probably playing it in real time on CW, but we don't know what those ratings are anymore. But what do you think about this first part of this? And then we'll kind of keep going back to previous quotes before John left and right after he. What do you think about this
Um,
initial reporting?
those are big words from Jaime. I mean, that's putting that's putting a stomach full on somebody's plate right there. Um, he hasn't denied it, so I'm pretty sure it's true. But like, I don't know, bro. When you talking about 650 million, I don't know if I'd just be like, yo, like, let me write you this check for 600 million right back. I don't know. I don't know if he's saying that. I think what he's really regretting is the competition, the consistency, and probably the brotherhood of the PGA because you're traveling with the same guys. Now these guys over at the Live, they start making money. I don't need to travel in these chartered private jets together. I don't need a NetJets account. I can go on my own. I have my own jet. I have my own team. So now it's a personal thing again. There is no team involved. The only team is your team.
And that to me is we know that's a gimmick. They're not
Right,
training together and doing all
right.
kind of team building.
It's not. They're not. And you got the homies out there. I mean, you at least got Tyrrell. That's one of your Ryder Cup homies, and he's not
Right.
even on the bandwagon with you. So, I so far, I mean, looking at this, I mean, it's pretty. I probably do agree with it, but that's a big check to just be writing back and saying, yeah, I would write that back in a heartbeat. I don't know.
And I don't think he got all that money, like right off the bat either. That seems unlikely that they would just pay him the full amount and like just up front. It
Right.
I don't know. That's there's got to be some teeth in there for that
That's
amount of
hefty.
money. Yeah, it seems like, a couple of the guys got their money up front, but yeah, like you said, do you think that Jon Rahm is hanging with Kieran Vincent and that young kid Caleb Surratt outside of the week of events, that month gap between their next event? Do you think they're
No,
hanging out somewhere? No,
no.
we know this. There's no connection between these guys. So let's keep it moving. Move on to this next slide because I think all these matter, and I put them up for a reason. So I'm gonna skip to the. This is when he was in the talks with Liv initially, and they were talking about. Well, it's all valid. So Jon Rahm is in the late stage of talks to join Liv Golf, and it's believed that the holdup is not financial, but it is due to him wishing to modify the format. Any changes would need the approval of all team captains, as well as the league themselves. This making negotiations difficult, but they are intensifying. We know, based on what happened this year, that no changes were tangible and happened. Let me go to this next slide before I comment because I think it also touches on some more detail. No, I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna skip and come back. Sorry. Okay, here it is. So he says if there was ever a way where Liv could go to 72 holes, I think it would help all of this argument a lot. The closer I think we can get Liv to some other things, the better. I think it would be for some kind of unification to feed into a world tour or something like that. I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I definitely wouldn't mind going back to 72 holes. So he was saying this from the jump, and, I threw this in between. He said, this is when he moved over. I believe in the growth of the game of golf. And if I can reach a bigger audience, it would be amazing. And I believe this process would help me do that. So for him to, at this point, leak information that impact that he thought he could make on the game is not happening, that's a pretty quick turnaround. We're talking about less than 10 months of time has passed since this comment. What you say,
I
man?
mean, uh, bruh, this is like the 54 hole lead stuff, the 54 holes, the 3 days. We knew they wasn't gonna fold. That was the whole reason why they win. They not trying to play
Yeah.
more golf. They're not trying to play more golf. And there is no argument for world ranking points if you're not playing a full field event or a full
Uh-uh.
4 round event with cuts or non-cuts because Tiger the Hero World Challenge, it's 30 players and it's non-cut and it's world ranking points. You know why? Because it's 72 holes.
Right.
It's 72 holes and it's feeding through a major tour. The Live is not a major tour yet. It is not connected with any major tours yet. So how are you going to get that happening? And then the captains aren't even behind it. But if you go back to that first picture or the picture where he's got the leather jacket on trying to talk about growing the game, that is a meme in itself now. You could post that up and just post that picture with him with this sly little grin. That is a meme now.
And the neck beard. That's the one thing that also.
It's so long down, like you can barely see his Adam's apple. Anyways, you're not reaching a greater audience because you're still on CW. You're not reaching a greater
Right.
audience because your audience is millennials that don't even know how to work YouTube Live, as we just discussed last week. So again, how are you going to do this without a major player in this? You thought you were the major player. It
I
turns
don't think
out
the
you were the
players
pawn.
matter. I literally don't think that the
No, no,
players
no, no, no,
matter.
no. I'm saying a major player as in like a major network or a
Oh yeah,
major.
yeah, yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got to be adopted by a mate. That's the only way that this gets traction. But again, if you can't make it on CW and the ratings were bad there, the
Like they need
option
to
of going elsewhere is not likely.
listen, they need to try, it's probably not feasible, but they need to try to get on the backside of like the Turner Sports networks. Get you on True TV, get you on something like that or on AMC. I don't know, but
But that's the
that's what
thing.
millennials is watching. That's what
Golf is
old white
already
people is watching.
it's already spread out because Turner, if I'm not mistaken, like they're part of USA, right? So they cover the US Open. So that
Mm-hmm.
avenue is already shut down. Even though it makes sense, that's already null and void. Um, Let me get into the last half of this little, reel here. So it's a minute and 45 seconds. Again, Jon Rahm was so definitive about why he did not think that LIV was a viable product going forward. This again comes as no surprise that we are at this moment where he's regretting this decision. When you feel convicted about something and you've spoken about it publicly multiple times, for
And then
you
you
to
switch
then,
up.
it's weird. I mean, which one is you? But I'm glad that at least he can admit like I was full of shit at the end of the day. So let's play this video, and it's a minute and 45. So hang in there.
How to put this delicately, points or arguments they can make towards why they prefer it. To be honest, part of the format is not really appealing to me. Shotgun 3 days to me is not a golf tournament, no cut. It's that simple. I want to play against the best in the world in a format that's been going on for hundreds of years, right? So that's what I want to see. And yeah, money is great, but when Kelly and I, this first thing happened, we started talking about it. We're like, will our lifestyle change if I got 400 million? No, it will not change one bit. Truth be told, I could retire right now with what I've made and I've lived a very happy life and not play golf again. So I've never really played the game of golf for monetary reasons. I play for the love of the game, and I want to play against the best in the world. I've always been interested in history and legacy, and right now the PGA Tour has that. There's a meaning when you win the Memorial Championship. There's a meaning when you win Arnold Palmer's event at Bay Hill. There's a meaning when you win LA, Torrey, some of these historic venues, and that to me matters a lot, right? I have, after winning this past U.S. Open, only me and Tiger have won at Torrey Pines, and we're both the golf course that we like, making putts on the 18th hole, right? That's a memory I'm going to have forever that not many people can say. So my heart is with the PGA Tour. That's all I can say. It's not my business or my character to judge anybody who thinks otherwise. And for a lot of people, I'm not going to lie, those next 3-4 years are worth basically their retirement plan they're giving them. It's a very nice compensation to then retire and sail off to the sunset.
What a joke.
I mean, as soon as I saw that clip, my brain went to that. So as soon as I saw the news story, my brain went to that clip, and just that man couldn't have been any more clear about why he thought this was a bad idea. And then now that he actually moved over there, we did a video a few weeks ago. I think it's called Angry John is the thumbnail for it. And it's the stuff that has pissed Jon Rahm off about LIV. The drones flying around while he's playing overhead. the music playing. He's bitched about that. He's complained about fans and being loud and not shutting up when he's over a shot because that's not the audience that they want at their events. Well, that's you've asked for this alternative style of golf and you get what comes with it. You know, it's the full entertainment. It's really not even about the golf anymore. It's just a fun product that they're pushing. So I don't know, man. This is about as predictable, or these comments are about as predictable as the sun coming up. I'll let you have the
Yeah,
last word on it.
I mean, for real. I mean, you pull out your bullet list, it's like 5 or 6 points deep where he's just like, you switched up on this, you switched up on this. Apparently, money does matter to you that much to where you would switch. The format isn't that important, apparently, because you did the switch. And then apparently, there's events on Live that are way more historic and have way more value to your legacy of what you got going on in the golf game than what they have going on in the PGA. You just keep going down the list, and it just keeps the retraction is just it's just incredible. It
I
truly is.
know.
Yeah,
I know.
bruh. I mean, he has the little smirk going with the retirement plan comment at the end. We already knew that. We already knew that. Ian Poulter knew that. Lee Westwood knew that. Phil knew that. DJ knew that. What you talking about? What are
Richard
we
Bland
saying?
knew that. Richard Bland
Right,
was a middling DP World Tour player, and here he is having the best years of his life on Live. So he understood the assignment. But you
right.
said it. He said it. I could retire today at that point. And this
And
video
be
is
good.
almost 2 years at this
Yeah,
old. That's almost 2 years
2022.
old. And he's, yeah, man. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
It's so
2022,
frustrating.
he said that. A joke, bro. It's just
All
funny. It's
right.
funny, really. It's not even worth getting mad about anymore because of the switch up. You literally said all this stuff, and all you got to do, if he tries to rebut anything, just put up the clip, or like I said, put up the meme. That's the only rebuttal you need. It's the same thing with people that try to talk noise on the Cowboys. Well, when's the last time you won? It don't matter. I won. Well, it's the same thing with Rom. I said it, but I already done got caught up. I'm already lied. It's the same thing. You know what? Let
Right.
me not get too hot. Let me not get too
You
hot,
getting you get you getting hot under the collar.
Ron.
Let's see here, Mom. Maybe in hindsight, he has reconsidered his choices. Sometimes it takes a few months slash years to come to a conclusion and see the other side of things. Well, I mean, this is, yeah,
mom,
it's a few months. It's a few
mom,
months.
Liv was around for like a year and a half before he made this decision. It Liv was well into its second season before he came over or even was talking about this in 2022. I mean, I definitely get it when you see in a different perspective of it and everything, but he had a long time to think about this. And he had a lot of offers that he had to say no to before he finally said yes. And I believe Rory and Tiger and all them guys and Scotty and Jordan and JT, I believe they're still saying no because they're still trying to get names on board to get this tour going. They're still
Yeah.
doing that. So I don't think that's the right excuse, Ma. That's all I'm gonna say. I get
And
what you're saying, but I don't think that's
no,
the excuse here.
I get what she's saying, but I also know that he's stood on business very vocally for two
Right. We
years.
saw the clip.
We saw it. We saw several sound bites, clips. He was very vocal about what he didn't like about the league from a structure standpoint. So stand on the business, man. Stand on
Yeah.
business and be about your word. It's. I think this is, bringing it full circle. We hadn't talked about Rory in a while. This would be like if Rory did the same thing. There's
Right.
too much footage of Rory going directly against Liv, head up with Greg Norman, and really battering the concept of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And for him to make the switch, he's in a better situation than Rahm is from a financial standpoint. We know Rory's making backroom deals, has buku money, damn near a billionaire at this point with all of his endorsements.
Yeah.
That if he was to say, oh, another 500, $800 million would, like, dude, there's only, you can only have so much money. And I get it. Money is important. It does, it can make you happy 100%.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many yachts can you roll on at one time? It gets to a point
You
where
only
it's
need you
ridiculous.
can only sleep in one house. You can only drive one car. What I want to
Yeah.
have 7 cars and drive one each day. I'm out on the tour. I can't even drive them. I'm
Yeah.
going to another tournament.
And the studies show, as a kind of psychological kind of thing, that it doesn't matter how much, like if you said, okay, this money will last generation upon generation, the studies show that it doesn't matter how much money, there will be a point when you look at dynasties across the world where it will fall and that
Yeah.
family will no longer be known. Look at the Rockefellers. There's a number of different American families that have ended up in that situation, British, etc., UK, that have ended up where they were royalty. They had buku money forever. And then later generations ended up squandering it through fighting, through marriage of other, families, etc. So you can say, oh, this is intergenerational money. It's not going to work out the way you think it is. The facts
Yeah.
are the facts on that. So anyway, just fucking Jon Rahm.
Money's
I,
always
I
going to run
just
out.
it will, because you can, I don't know, like you said, you only have one butt, and one period of time where you can be in at a time.
But
So let's
also,
kind of finish off. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, we talking about backdoor money. Pause. Yo, Travis Matthew is big time. Lifestyle, and golf brand, big time. And they charge you crazy amounts for their stuff. They making money. Callaway, top 3 golf brand ever. They making money. You think he not getting crazy deals anyways?
Yeah,
He's
yeah, and I
definitely
think they're
getting
about to
stupid
sell
money.
off. I think they're about to sell off the Top Golf unit. I heard a story about that
Yeah.
this week, that they're
And then
not
he
doing
from
well
Spain.
financially.
He's from Spain. This isn't America. He's from Spain. So Spain has their own golf federation. They feed money into him. He didn't pay for none of that stuff when he was growing up. They all had that stuff sponsored. This isn't America. America is one of the greediest countries ever, and we don't have any kind of sports federations to speak of besides private
Uh, may,
chartered
may, maybe on the
academies.
soccer, maybe on the soccer side, I think they have something kind of going there to get U.S.
Even
soccer up
worse,
to.
they're even further behind. I think basketball is the most ahead, and that's because we get to be super seniors and go to a 5th year of high school with no classes and just play basketball, and then go straight to the league. Then tennis, you get to go pro 15, 16, let your family handle your finances and stuff like that. Hockey, kind of the same, but there's no like, yo, like, look, if you wanna develop, we're gonna put you into this whole thing when you turn 5. As soon as you're able to have coordination, and you think you want to do this, we're not measuring intangibles like China and Japan and
Well,
putting you into a field.
there was a kid in the USAM this week from Spain that was out there raking. Probably went through a similar program as Rom. So
That's what
yeah,
I'm saying.
there's definitely some credence to that. But yeah, I mean, let's kill the Rom thing. We're just angry about it, and it's dumb because you look at the facts of it, and it's just frustrating because
Yeah,
it was predictable. So
right. He brought
two
this on
two things
himself.
to two things to finish. Not to finish, really. We have one subject that you brought up. Hideki Matsuyama won the first leg of the FedEx Cup today. Almost
Choked it.
away on like hole number, yeah, ended up getting birdies on 17 and 18 to secure the victory, thank God. So shout out to him for, I think he's like one of the most talented dudes out there. I know injuries have slowed him down over the last 2 to 3 years. I'd really like to see him re-elevate his game. When he's going, he hits some of the most incredible, just high
Yeah,
lofted woods and shots. It's another level of golf. Hell, his misses, like today, he did this one hand finish with the driver, just barely missed the first cut of rough, and ended up with a good lie. I'm like, can you chill? Like
yeah,
he's the master of the one hand finish next to the hole. Like, come on.
truly.
So but the stars are starring. We saw Xander Schauffele competing at the top of that leaderboard. Scotty
Yep.
was up there as well. Sam Burns had a chance, but then does what Sam Burns does and throws it in the water deep into the round.
Yeah.
So, but I think, I don't know. To me, I feel like the PGA Tour has, we talked about this last week when we were talking about the CW deal, has done a admirable job of fighting back the momentum of LIV and really put their best foot forward as much as possible. Although the reaction was late, they have made the appropriate steps to get their crap back together. You mentioned one thing before we kind of segue away from the PGA Tour to your last story about that the amateur distance thing. Let me share my screen. It's about the Creator Classic deal. I hope I didn't close it out. Nope. So we mentioned the Creator Classic and the PGA Tour really trying to compete in other avenues outside of their just normal game, and putting on this Creator Classic, which is going to be like this 9-hole event with the YouTube creators. You can see their faces here. Dude Perfect Guy in the bottom right with the beard, Fat Perez, Golf Girl Gabby, Paige Spiranak, Garrett from Good Good, and Micah, formerly of Good Good, are the headliners. Um, Apparently, Rick Shields, he wouldn't have been able to make it, but he was offended by not getting an invite. Thought that was interesting. He talked about that on his podcast this week.
Why?
Mac Boucher, because he's Rick Shields, and Rick Shields does stuff like that. We don't like Rick Shields. Shout out to the original true OG of YouTube golf, Mark Crossfield, not
Thank
Rick
you.
Shields. He came
Thank you.
second. We have George Bryan, Wesley Bryan, Amy Cho with Golf with Amy. She's an amazing golf instructor as
Yo,
well.
her instruction is really, really thorough and good. I
Yes,
actually do enjoy her stuff.
she's got great drills. If you're working on something, we talk about this all the time. If you need to find somebody, find one person to listen to their instruction. She would be that one person. She's got
Yep.
hundreds of instruction videos. Check out Golf with Amy. Freaking amazing. I did a really bad video back in when I first started this channel about her, but her instruction is amazing. I mentioned Brad Clark, Brad Dalkey, Peter Finch. Maybe that's why
He
Rick was
should be,
butthurt.
yeah, he should be hurt now.
Maybe that's why.
But I like Peter. I like
Um,
Peter Finch's little series he did. Don't get me wrong. I can't. Again, I can't really stomach the accent for that long. But he had a
yeah,
whole Beat the Pro series where he was going and playing money out of. Well, it probably wasn't money out of his own pocket, but he was playing big money games with these Beat the Pros with crowds and audiences and the whole
yeah,
production and stuff like that. I mean, it was a great little series. I definitely
yeah.
think he was,
And he's
sorry
still
but not
really,
sorry.
he's
Actually,
still
a
trying
golfer.
to put, yeah, he's still trying to play and compete at a high level. When
Yeah.
he's tried to make opens versus, I don't know, dude, if y'all go watch Rick Shields try to make the open this year, it
Hmm.
was embarrassing. It was bad. It was hard to watch. Him trying to compete. It's just a complete cognitive dissonance of where he thinks his game is compared to being able to compete as a pro.
Yeah.
Um, we talked about Golf Girl Gabby. Luke Kwan, formerly of Good Good as well, kind of went off and did
Yep.
his own thing. Mentioned Micah Morris. I don't watch Busted Jack. I've seen their faces, but one of the guys from there,
That's cool.
Fat Perez, Page, Roger Steele, bro. Roger
Yeah.
Steele in that thing.
Yeah. He was talking about it. He posted on it. Got a real one in there.
And then I think that Sean Walsh is a newer addition to Good Good. So In addition to that, you mentioned Grant Horvat possibly kind of could be Live Golf's entry into like the creator world. But
Uh-huh.
he did something with the PGA Tour at the FedEx St. Jude that he
Uh-oh.
was on the PGA Tour, like the ESPN coverage, that he did something with Wesley Bryan. So I was like, oh, that avenue is
Mm.
gone. So that ain't happening.
Mm.
So, hey, man, I think
They
people
might
are
steal him
seeing where
still.
they might still try to steal him. I mean, they might throw a boatload of money at him. You never know
Yeah.
because we know Liv is not above trying the marketing. They're definitely into the marketing game,
Right.
but a lot of these moves have not quite panned out the way that they have. But it was interesting when I tuned into my ESPN Plus coverage this week and saw Grant Horvat on there doing some kind of pregame stuff with Wesley Bryan. I was like, oh, I guess that field
Yeah.
connection wasn't quite strong enough.
Mm. Mm-mm.
Um, so that's the Creator Classic, and yeah, so that's the PGA Tour. Moving on next week, we're down to 50. So we'll reshuffle the deck, keep cutting it down until we get to East Lake. So that's coming up. So yeah, that's PGA Tour. Not a lot of stuff. It was the FedEx. It was the St. Jude. Um, I don't
They're
love
going to
that course,
Colorado
but
this year.
oh really? Next week is Colorado.
Yeah.
Shut the
And then they
front
come back to
door.
East Lake. They come back to East Lake. Yeah,
That's right.
it's a
I
new
did see
venue.
that. I did see that. Um, Shout out to Colorado. Went there for the first time last year. Amazing weather at this time of year. I went in like September. So Colorado, amazing place to be. All right, let's finish off with an article from golf.com that you sent me, and it was the article was largely focused on which tees people play, and we've touched on this and kind of going back to when I did a couple of videos when I got the Arcos system about being realistic about distances that I was hitting clubs.
Yeah.
I would say I'm somewhere in the mid. I'm not a short hitter by any means, but there's definitely people that hit clubs longer than me. So they were saying on this article, which of course catches your attention, is that the average male 7-iron distance is 138. Which then I got to thinking a little more deeply about, and I'm like, I don't know what the age range. If they use that over the swath of just men that play golf, I can see that, right? Because you're gonna have
Yeah.
some hackers. You're gonna have some older gentlemen in there who are losing distance. You're gonna have people in the better players that are in the prime and that are longer. People that play game improvement clubs. What was your big takeaway from this article? I do agree with more people probably aren't playing tees that they should be playing as well. But what were your big takeaways from this article?
Yeah, I think that was the main thing the main draw for me is just being more realistic with yourself and not always trying to, really, I guess, I mean, let your nuts hang and stuff like that, essentially. You want a different challenge. You're not ready for that challenge yet, bro. You need to be in the realm of realistic golf so you can enjoy it, play it at a proficient pace. Then, as you begin to gain skill and regularity in your game, then that's when you space it back. But until that point, it needs to be middle of the tee box, then maybe that one that's two steps behind the tips, then maybe the tips when you get to that point. But if you're not even, that's a lot of the situation right now is can't find my golf ball because I don't know where it went. I don't know how far I
Uh
hit
huh.
it, and I consistently don't hit it the same direction each time. That all in lies with you trying to hit the ball too hard because you're not playing the right tee boxes. There's nothing wrong with you hitting a hybrid off the tee because it's a 340 yard par four for you, not a 430-yard par four where you're going to bomb your
Right.
drive out of bounds twice. Next thing you know, you're doing a homie drop and you're playing 4 or something like that. You know, nah. So
Yeah.
that first one went OB, and then I was just trying to see if I could, hit another one. But I'm gonna just take my drop up here from my first ball that went out. So I'm hitting 4. So yeah, I 2-putted. So yeah, I doubled, not an actual 9.
9
You
or
know,
10.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't have the 9. I had a double. So don't do me.
So do you?
And
I
then
mean,
you're in line.
we've seen a plethora of videos coming out with people having the opinion that you shouldn't be able to move back to a certain tee box until you're able to break like 80 with like start at the reds, break 80, move to the whites, break
Yeah,
80, and you can't get all the way back until you can break 80 at each tee box. Do you agree with that?
yeah. I mean that pretty much lines up with what your handicap should be doing. If you're a higher handicap, you shouldn't be back that far anyways, because your consistency isn't there, your distance, your ball striking, your ability. But the closer you are to scratch, yeah, you should be moving back. You should be wanting a more of a challenge. I thought you was gonna say there's people that you look at a guy that's like Bryson DeChambeau, Wonder Kid. He was like, yeah, you should play the very up tees until you shoot even par. But these people would be retiring before they move back then. It
Right.
you know what I'm saying? That is very unrealistic. 80s, 85, breaking like 90 and stuff like that. Okay, cool. We're on to something. You talking about breaking par 72, 70? Nah, nah.
Because there's so we all know that there's so much to golf. We know a lot of strokes are really lost around the green, 100
Right.
yards and in, and getting it in the ball in the hole. So I don't know. To me, that yes, being closer can help, but again, we know a lot of strokes are lost once you have a wedge in your hand and
Uh-huh.
people sculling it, chunking it, not having the touch, etc. Like today, play with a young kid, probably about he's a freshman in high school, so he's recently new to the game. He actually strikes it pretty damn well. And it's crazy because he like snuck me on one drive. And I was like, okay, but okay, kid. Like he's long and lanky and very athletic. But
Yeah.
when he gets around the green, no touch. We're talking about there was a drivable par four. He went back and forth 3 times without touching the green. And that's really what we see from newer golfers is that again, inside of a certain range, having the touch, having numerous types of shots that you can go to actually
Yeah.
get the ball in the hole, right? Low checker, high and check and high and stopping and one, spinning and stopping. There's a bunch of different ways that golfers lose strokes and it comes with experience, etc. So I'm not as hard as Bryson. I think 80 breaking 80 and because then you can keep your pace up. I think because I looked up that article a couple days ago, I got served an ad for another article that was
Right.
talking about 3 putts by handicap, and I also found that very interesting as well. So it says that an average 20 handicapper will have an average of 4 3 putts per round, and slightly lower for a 15 handicapper. Their average is 3.3 3 putts per round, and of course, as you would expect, as you get better and the handicap moves lower, a 10 handicapper 2.6 per 18 holes. A 5 handicapper is somewhat better, right? Producing just 2 3 putts per round, and a scratch golfer is like the least. They'll have like 1.6. So probably 3 every 2 rounds
Yeah.
have 3 putts, which is expected, right? Because we
Yeah.
know, hell, me and you talked about this with my game, is that's always now at this current stage I am with my game, off the tee into greens is largely pretty predictable. The
Right.
difference between me breaking 80 every round is whether I'm sub 30 in putts or not. That
Right.
was exactly the case today. And I shot a 84. I had 34 putts. If I get sub 30, I'm breaking 80. It
There
is
you have it.
predictable as the sun coming up. That is how my game works, and I think that again is the bugaboo, right? Because some days on the greens, I feel like a 15 handicapper. Has
Yeah.
that come down a lot? Yes, and found something in the putting game, but I don't know this. But I think this is again being predictable. Yardages are important. Um, I think like with when we look at kind of the grand landscape of things, get some tool to know how far you do hit your clubs.
Yep.
Go get fit so you have clubs that you are playing that fit your game at your current state. It
Yep.
doesn't matter if you're 20 handicapper or you're scratch. Having clubs that fit your game and how you're playing now, super important. Um, and find an instructor either in person or if you're going the online route. There are a lot of people that do video lessons or finding a
Right.
YouTuber that resonates with you, that you can listen to their message and work on one segment of your game at a time.
Yep.
And there's so many out there, right? So fix one part, go work on the next thing. Don't try to fix it all at one point. If you're struggling to get off the tee, watch a bunch of videos from an instructor on how to hit driver. And if you're not trying to be long, you're just trying to be straight and keep it in play. Makes all the difference in the world when you're first getting started in golf. So anyway, those are my tips for us as golfers, as amateurs. It's what we've gone through. It's how we learned. A lot of YouTube, a lot of segments and learning piece by piece. So what
Hmm.
else you got?
I mean, shoot, learn. I mean, have one have one shot around the green that you know you can count on. I mean, even if you're doing it with one club, even if you only bring your 9 iron to the green,
Right.
I don't know how you're gonna get over some bunkers and stuff like that, but that's what you feel comfortable with. That's what you need
Right.
to bring. Whatever you're gonna a pitching wedge. You know what I'm saying? Something you're gonna
I
make
think pitching.
consistent.
I think pitching wedge is like the happy medium, right? Because it still has a
Yeah,
little bit of loft, but
right.
yeah,
It's got some gives, got some bounce. You can hit it out of a bunker as well. Now
yep.
that's crazy, but you can.
Bro,
Um,
I've been seeing the okay. So crazy talk. I've been seeing a couple guys in my group putting out of bunkers. Seeing that a lot more
not that
common.
far fetched. Not that far
I
fetched.
know. I know.
Hard packed sand, smooth manicured bunkers. I'm not really even
With
mad at it.
with no
Get it
lip
out.
or
Right.
minimal lip. Yep.
With minimal lip or the sand blends into that bank. You know, we have really rough edges on ours built in like
Yeah.
that. So it's not really a case of what's happening. And then, we just incorporated new sand. So depth, depth average is not the same. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's soft, sometimes it's fluffy, then sometimes it's hard packed, hardly anything underneath it. So it really just depends on what course you're at. But more times than not a bad idea either. You hit it hard enough,
Just
it's gonna
just get
pop
it.
up, get it
Just get
out.
out of the bunker. Yeah.
I
Get
got out of the
get
bunker in one.
get it. Anytime you're in trouble, get out of the trouble. If you're
Get
if
out
you're
of the
in the
trouble.
bunker, get out of the bunker. If you're
Right.
short of the green, if you're not on the green, get on the green and two putt and get out of there. That's it.
Sometimes you got to think out of the box around, and that's the beauty of learning what your short game capabilities are. Because
Yeah.
remember, I wasn't always adept like that, but it happens. And now, I feel like I can hit out of every little pocket with my 58 and stuff like that. You learn to do these
Yes.
things, just like you
Yes.
with your
You
56 or your
you
50.
you you implored me to not give up on my 58 a little while ago, and I've really been putting in the work. The 58 is like money. Like
I'm telling you, it's the club.
chipping my, I've been chipping my ass off
It's the
as of
club,
late,
man.
and the 54 honestly is like just out of the fairway now. I have not been using the 54
Hmm.
as the safety blanket or pacifier. So thank you for not allowing me to to give up on my 58.
Yes, sir.
I yeah. So anyway, all right, man. We've gone long as heck today, which we had a lot of stuff to cover. A lot of
We got it all in.
carryover from last week, and passionate about the Jon Rahm thing. So good have some good clips for this week to kind of
Yep.
put in bite-sized segments and feature this week. So
We'll give Hideki what's in the bag. Either Rod will do
yeah,
it through the week, or we'll do it first thing next week.
yeah, I'll do. I'll because we'll probably have a different winner next week on the PJ Tour, and it'll be fun talking about a new course as well. That we're all seeing for the first time. So I'll get the what's in the bag prepared. So I only have to do one in real time
Yeah.
next week, and we'll
Okay.
cover two next week. So Bearder Bros Golf Show, you know where to find us every Sunday, usually at 7 p.m. Central. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
We'll catch y'all next week.